folks, and welcome to Gormo Shed. This week we're delving into the black art of LEDs. Black art because I do at least one thing with LEDs that possibly you're not supposed to do. I don't know. And that's modify them slightly. And yeah, it can get quite interesting and gives you a few little options, especially for model railways. Anyway, if you're mucking about with LEDs, I recommend that you get one of these things. This is an LED checker. Now, what you do is you can put your LED in the top here. You just put the two pins in this black bit here. I'll move a bit closer and see if it focuses on that for you. Yeah, you can put your LED in the top there, and it's marked. If you look on the side there, you can see positive and negative. Now, usually on store-bought LEDs, the long leg on the LED is the positive. So you'd whack the long leg in the positive hole and then the short leg in the negative hole, and you push the little button at the bottom and it'll light up your LED if the LED is working. So these are a handy little gizmo. I got this for something like $2.75 from Hong Kong with free postage. It's crazy. So it's a great investment, and it can make life easy for you, because I was given a whole bunch of little 3mm LEDs. My son actually got them for me from his work, and the way that you may notice there actually that both the legs, will that focus on that? Both the legs are the same length, and well, when he gave them to me, they're sitting in these little housings like that, which is all very good. However, they're no good to me in the housing, so I bend the legs back and pull them out, but I've got two legs of equal length. So that's where this little gizmo comes in handy, because I can whack it in there. It might be first time lucky. No. Sometimes you need to hold it, make sure the contacts are making contact properly. And there you go, there you go. So now I know, according to this, which leg is positive and which is negative. So if I was doing a bit of work with LEDs, I'd probably pull this out and snip the negative leg and make it a bit shorter, so then I can put it aside and then I know it's okay. I know which is positive and which is negative. But there's other things you can do with these little LEDs, and we're talking about 3mm, because they're probably the most affordable, and they're quite freely available. And one of the things that I've been doing with them is filing the end down, believe it or not. Where are we? If we turn it around that way, you can see how it's got the rounded end. Well, most of the action in the LED is happening just, where are we? Just above the base of the red bit, where the two legs come in, and that's where the where all the action is to light it up. So I couldn't see any reason why I couldn't file a bit of the top off to get a shape that I want. And so I'll do one, and I'll show you how it turns out. Now, you don't have to get too precious about this, folks, and you can see that I've got a little grindstone here. This is just a mini one, and you think, well, crikey, Gormo's going to put this thing on the grindstone. I'm going to use the flat side here, and I'm just going to take a bit off the top and actually reduce the height of this LED, or the length of it, if you like. So I'll just take a tad off. Okay, you can see there that I've probably reduced its length by half, and if I went too much further, I'd be down near the business end here, and possibly in a bit of strife. So you can see that I've got a totally different shape now, and if I turn it around, it's also dulled the finish of the of the LED. And you think, well, you know, so what? What's the good of that? Well, if you can make this a bit smaller, you can fit it into places where you normally wouldn't be able to fit it. And you know, it may, in its original form, it may have been sticking out too far or whatever. So now you've got this new shape, a shorter length that may allow it to fit into possibly, say, a signal or something like that. Okay folks, well, you might be saying, well, big deal, Gormo, I can get small LEDs to do the job anyway, and they're not that expensive. True, that's very true. But now, when I look at this, it's about the right shape, say for a tail light on a wagon, or it's about the right size for a signal. It may be, if you look at it, it's just the wrong sort of red. So how do we fix that? Simple. Now what I've got here is some pretty ordinary cheap poster paint from the $2 shop or the £1 shop, and I'll put a blob of it in this tray, just a blob. Now I'll take the LED and just dip the end in the blob. Now, and then you pull it out and it looks like that. It's actually put a little rounded end on the LED, a bit like a globe or the sort of lens that you would see in a tail light. It's probably not focusing properly for you there, but and I'm not going to get too close to the lens of the camera here. Don't want to get any paint on there. So all we do now is put that aside and let it dry. That would be really good as a tail light on the end of a brake van. So you can put it aside. Even it's better to stand it up, so maybe stick it in some polystyrene and just let it dry maybe for a day, or you can stick it back in your little tester and just let it stand up. Yeah, and I'll show you one I did earlier, and I'll show you how it lights up. I'll just grab it and then we'll get back into it. Now I had a little dome of paint on this one, and it actually dries flat for some reason. Don't understand the what would it be, physics or the chemistry or whatever that's going on there, but it works. It still works. This has been ground down, and you can see by the shape of it, it's been ground down, and it gives a nice red light with the poster paint on it. Now the poster paint, let's allow for colour problems with this camera and the screens that you're looking at. The poster paint is that pillar box red, if you like. So if you can imagine that, and that's the colour that's on this little LED on the end. So I think that'll look great on a brake van or something like that, or possibly as a signal. Now this opens up a lot more possibilities for other colours. Yeah, I mean, say you're lighting a building and maybe you've got a white LED. If you dip it in some yellow poster paint, possibly you'll get more of a yellowish glow to the LED. That's softer looking, more natural, like an incandescent light. You could do the same with an amber globe. Maybe try that and add some yellow to it. Same with greens. You know, you can add a different shade of green to your LED, and or do the process I've done here. File the end down, make it a bit shorter. You know, so it fits into those spaces where you want it to go. Now this is not going to work with the real small LEDs because they've really actually already done all the grinding. So this is just a possibility for your 3mm stuff. Now, as you notice, the paint dried flat on the end of on that one I ground down. I'll just grab another one here. If you're purely doing the colour change, just leave the LED as it was. You know, say it fits. You don't need to grind it down, but you're not happy with the colour. So I've put the red poster paint on this standard LED. It's just unchanged, and yeah, and it's got that pillar box red colour as opposed to that sort of what would you say, a ruby red that it had before, and it would look much better on a brake van or in a signal, you know, for my purposes anyway. So there you are. Yeah, don't be afraid to just put that down. Yeah, don't be afraid to have a go at them with the file or the grindstone or whatever. Anyway, have fun with it, and I'll see you next week. Cheers, Gormo.